Hello and welcome to the Strategic Bookkeeper podcast. In today's podcast episode, I want to narrowly focus on a topic that I've touched on before. And definitely I'm doing this off the back of lessons from the tribe again. So it is a subject I touched on. And then as I learn from the program participants, I'm able to sometimes reframe my thought leadership. Yeah. And so that's what I've done, or I've rounded it out and expanded it so I can narrowly focus on how to create a pipeline of PCs, prospective clients. So in this episode, we're going to dive into that. And actually, I want to give you a 5-point plan. I feel like when we can frame something up with a bit of a system, I'm massive on systems. I don't know if you've read Atomic Habits. If you haven't, you must. It's a really easy read. The audiobook 6 hours long. And when I read that, I thought, you know what? It reminds me of the mini systems I have that are in existence in my life every day, every minute. I love systems. So I'm going to give you a 5-point plan for how to create a pipeline of PCs. And then I'm going to give you a little sweetener at the end to just speed up the results. Okay. So we'll call it a 5 and a bit point plan. Okay. So how about we jump into this podcast?
I'm Jeannie Savage, the Strategic Bookkeeper. I'm an award-winning entrepreneur, author, speaker, trainer and coach. After 13 years in practice and after scaling into a lifestyle business where I could choose my own adventure, I'm sharing my secrets to success, my secret sauce recipe on how to build a thriving practice, delight your clients and ultimately live your dream on your terms. This podcast is a companion to my book. In each weekly episode, I'll share strategies for scaling and success. This is your time to shine, to step up, to become a strategic bookkeeper and enjoy all the benefits it brings to you and your clients.
Okay, so let's jump into how to create a pipeline of prospective clients, which I will call PCs, okay? So your 5-point plan is brand assets, aka digital ecosystem, attraction strategies, kit, which is database, and then number 5 is long game, but the little extra on top is going to be critical drivers for faster results. Okay, so that is your 5-point plan. So the next thing I'm going to talk to you about, I'm going to demystify the pipeline thing a little bit. So realistically, if you're not creating a pipeline with that strategy, okay, then podcast interruption. Just to let you know, if you did not join the program when the doors open on August 1, and they opened for 14 days before my team and I rocked up live, it doesn't mean that you can't join in. The program is evergreen. Okay, so we have a way to bring you into the program seamlessly, beautifully, so that you can absolutely start working with me to build your thriving practice, delight your clients, and live your dream on your terms. If you are keen to know how that works, just drop us an email or ask in the private Facebook group. I'm always really grateful for that because then I can help the many as well as the one. Or simply use the link that will drop in the show notes or go to the website, pretty easy, and jump into the program because 2 things. Number 1, it comes with a money back guarantee, or let's say 3 things. Number 2, I do not get you to spend extra time working with me. This is about on the job. Yes, I've done other podcasts on that. And number 3, that money back guarantee, it kicks in after a year, but my expectation is to help you get the ROI really early, so that pays for the program. But yes, we're going to spend a year together. So back to the podcast. Then you may be scratching your head wondering why some bookkeepers seem to have a steady stream of inquiries coming through like our practice does, where you may feel like you're more on the seesaw strategy, okay? So that is do the work and I'm too busy now, and then I need more work, win the work, do the work, win the work. So I've talked about this before, the seesaw strategy. And I was talking to a bookkeeper in my tribe recently, and she said, Jeannie, I am at capacity. Like, I don't have room to bring on any more clients right now. And I said, if a client left you, would you have room for more clients? And she said, yes, I would need more clients. If a client left me, I would need to fill that spot. And I'm kind of like, okay, well, this is why we create an environment where an invisible pipeline exists, right? And another one of my beautiful bookkeepers, he's in America, and he is absolutely on waitlist till December and still bringing in demand for his services now, for his productized services. He's kicking massive goals. It's so exciting, so much fun. And we've helped him with the conversation and also the things we do while we're in waitlist, right? Because when you think about it, client onboarding is a real process, especially when you join my program. Like, I really show you, like I've said in other podcasts, how there's the inquiry, there's the needs analysis, and then there is the part one conversion, which you can technically do that part of it while you're in waitlist. And then you can be making your recommendations while you're in waitlist. And if they go ahead with the initial piece of work, which is a catch-up piece, technically you could be asking them to provide you with information while you're in waitlist period. You're still clocking time for that, okay? Also that within that 4, or in this case for this bookkeeper in the States, 6 weeks that he's on waitlist, the client is usually more than happy to wait, because if you're in demand, all that does, remember the 3 parts of the buying decision: relationship, convenience, and price. If you didn't listen to that podcast, I recommend that you listen to it. So waitlist simply deepens relationship. Yeah, it builds the know, like, and trust, the credibility, results-based marketing profile. You're in demand. Yeah. So you can see it's not particularly convenient that you're on a waitlist, but it removes convenience and price as important, and it really weights the relationship piece. Okay, so we want everyone to be choosing us on that. Okay, so with that bookkeeper that said, I'm totally busy, and then I said, what if someone left you? And she said, I'd need more. It's like, okay, that's why we create a pipeline. And she's like, and the whole wait list that I've explained. Okay, so regardless of your books being full or not being full, in nature and in business, we are either growing or we're dying. Yeah. So a flower is growing or it's dying. We don't stand still. Our businesses don't stand still. We're either growing or we're receding. Yeah. You will have clients from time to time off board from natural attrition. They might sell the business. They might close the business. Yeah. Someone might start, their sister might have become a bookkeeper and they want their sister to do it. Yeah. You can be running a really solid practice. You are still going to have a natural attrition that you need to turn over. Okay. That you need to replace. All right. So pipeline's important. So let's get off the seesaw strategy and onto the pipeline strategy. And way back when I had 5 years into building my practice, which if you read my book, I call that the fuck up years, I had created an invisible pipeline. And back then, I wasn't as much of a MacGyver, like as much as a detective as I am now. I really became a detective around all things sales and marketing when I decided that I would build the Strategic Bookkeeper project, right? So that was about 4 years ago. I was like, right, I started the hard work, the investment of time and money, knowing everything I built would be to benefit bookkeepers all over the world. And so I decided that I wanted to investigate the arse end out of everything, right? And that's probably a bit of an ethics piece. So it was like, if I am going to sell myself and my systems, then I actually want to understand how everything works. So 5 years in, I was kind of like, I don't do any active marketing, but it feels like inquiries just drop in just nicely, even when I'm not actively marketing. So if a client leaves by natural attrition, then I'm always getting new inquiries. We've got catch-up work coming through. We've got those going through to ongoing. People are referring to us, etc. And at the time, I didn't fully understand it. And perhaps I didn't see the importance of understanding it. Now, today I do, right? And I absolutely dived into what was going on when I decided to build the Strategic Bookkeeper project, which is the book, the podcast, and the program mainly. I do free training events and I'm running a book club, but mainly it's those things. So if we reflect on my journey, 5 years in, I had created this invisible and visible pipeline, which is exactly what you need to do. So we're going to look at what I did so you can recreate that, okay? Some of it may seem a little complex, but I am going to wrap it up at the end with some action steps. And my book does really walk you through the moving parts of what you need to create that pipeline. And then my transformation program, which is open to join, you can absolutely join, and we're still celebrating foundation members with all the foundation member specials. In the program, most things are done for you, and there's a reason for that. I'm thinking of even doing a podcast on that. So it's a done for you option. So you hit the ground running with incredible stuff that covers off this 5-point plan. Okay, so I just want to make that clear. So invisible pipeline, that is the people in your market that you don't, so they're floating around in your brand sphere. If you haven't read my book, that term may not mean as much sense, right? But I'll make sense of it again in a minute. They are people floating around in your brand sphere that are considering using you. So they're touching your stuff, but you don't know they're considering using you, and they may consider using you, getting to know, like, and trust you, taking in the 3 parts of the buying decision for years. They may do it for a week, 2 weeks, a month, years. I get people reach out that have been looking at me online for 5, 6, 7 years. Okay, so now that is the invisible part of it, and they're invisible to some extent, but they're visible to some extent as well, because they are usually following you on social media, or they've hit your email database. Okay, the invisible piece is more that they haven't inquired with you. Now, the more visible, very obvious pipeline is where somebody's reached out and inquired with you, and for whatever reason, whether you did a proposal, you didn't, they haven't said yes, they haven't pressed go. Okay, the other more visible parts of your pipeline that I will point out are past clients and inactive clients. I mean, they are very much kind of in bed with you. They're in a relationship with you, but for whatever reason, they're not using you right now. Okay. This podcast is mainly focused around invisible pipeline, but I really want you to consider what I've just talked about then, okay? So in terms of the 5-point plan I've given you and what you need to do to build a beautiful invisible pipeline that just means you can get on with the day-to-day doing business, and feel a little more relaxed in the idea that PCs will be knocking on your door fairly regularly, semi-regularly. I mean, if your books are full and a PC only knocks on your door once a month, and you're converting most PCs that knock on the door into clients, that's 12 new clients a year. And 12 clients, if you're using my systems, can be a 6-figure turnover, okay? And in terms of that, I will point you to the lessons from the tribe, finding new clients, being small but mighty, and how to really optimize PCs when they knock on the door. So the first parts of the 5-point plan, part 1 and part 2, 1 is brand, and 2 is brand assets, aka digital ecosystem. So I'm going to talk about them together. So in my book, and you know this podcast is a companion to my book, I have a whole chapter on brand. So that is your organization's personality. Primarily this is your vision, your mission. So your vision is why you exist in the eyes of your client. Like, what is the reason that they pick up the bookkeeping? Because if you think it's about the bookkeeping, you're missing the point. So Bookkeeping is a vehicle to take you to a destination, and that destination might be a thriving business. Yeah. So basically, you're going to need a way to connect with your market, and your organization's personality, just like your personality connects you to your friends. Yeah. Your brand, your organization's personality is going to connect you with your market, and connection is your vibe attracting your ideal tribe. Okay, so you're going to need to nail your vibe, your brand, and all of that is explained in my book. The next thing is that your brand is conveyed through your brand assets, which primarily these days in the digital age we live in is your brand assets. So think website, social media, think social media, website. The reason I say that is because only a few years ago, website kind of came first. Yeah, people Googled, people went to a website. Now, so websites are they've really changed. Yeah, what a website needs to contain, the reason behind it, what people expect when they visit it has really changed. And social media it's been the rise of social media. Yeah. And so you need social media and website so that your market can float in your brand sphere. All right. So let's say your digital ecosystem, your social media and your website is your brand sphere, which conveys your brand. So if I go to your website and it just talks about what you do and it's pretty lackluster and it doesn't look very professional, well, I'm not really going to be able to connect with you. Like in terms of competitive advantage and connecting to why I'm there in the first place, that's going to be pretty difficult. Then if I go looking for your social media and the last post was 3 months ago, I'm going to think that you might be closed for business, yeah? Versus if I am directed to look at you by an accountant, for example. So let's say an accountant refers me to you. And I think, oh, okay, I might check this person out online at 10 o'clock at night while I'm laying in bed. That's what we do as consumers, yeah? Then I go to your website and the website speaks of the why. It gives me visually and with copy, it tells me why I would use you, that you're going to help me do better in business, all these kind of things. Now, if you're thinking right now, but I'm just a humble bookkeeper, if you haven't read my book, read my book. Yeah, that's going to help. But I'll come back to that bookkeeping is the vehicle. Yeah, I'm going to rinse and repeat on what I say in many podcasts. Up-to-date, accurate accounting records, which is bookkeeping, is globally recognized as pillar one for the success of any business. Okay, so business success is the why, it's the outcome. So if your website can connect your audience to why you exist and what's in it for them, yeah, then that's going to be a really great start in terms of your digital ecosystem. Now, if your social media continues that theme, yeah, and I give you all the how-to in the book around social media as well. If it continues that theme and you're posting consistently and regularly, then you are going to build the know, like, and trust, okay? So when your market wants to get to know, like, and trust you 24/7 online, yeah, then they're going to be able to do that in your digital ecosystem. Okay, so once you have a beautiful brand conveyed in your digital ecosystem so that there is somewhere for your PCs to go and get to know you online, then you're going to want to combine that with attraction strategies. So in my book, there is a chapter which is, I think, 3 times as long as every other chapter. And then there is also a playbook that I give you, okay, on client attraction strategies. So here's what I want you to think about. Your client attraction strategies is how you find audience, how you find people, yeah? So for example, networking is a client attraction strategy. So you go to a networking event and you find people. We need to give those people a place to hang out with us. And that's your digital ecosystem where they get to know, like, and trust you 24/7 online, digesting your content. Yeah. Okay. So you want to combine the attraction strategies. So how do I find audience with giving them somewhere to go. So what some bookkeepers do is they might put a little bit of effort into an attraction strategy, but they don't give their audience anywhere to really hang out. They're not strategic about inviting them to social media and giving them somewhere to hang out. Okay, me personally, as an entrepreneur, I believe that entrepreneurs need to use all forms of social media, including their personal profiles, as a networking room. Okay, so I'm going to do another podcast on that. I believe that entrepreneurs don't treat or shouldn't treat social media the same as people with jobs. I'm also going to do a podcast on the entrepreneurial journey to demystify that. Okay, so you want to have brand, you want to have digital ecosystem, you want to then have the attraction strategies that bring the audience into your brand sphere. I do recommend leveraging your personal profiles just because social media is like a networking room these days. So when you walk into a networking room, people want to get to know you personally, okay? So I'm only scratching the surface of this subject right now, but I want to plant that seed, okay? So we've gone over the first 3 parts of your 5-point plan. So number 4 is database, also known as KIT. So KIT stands for keep in touch. Yeah. When you go and find audience through attraction strategies, you want to find a way to get them onto your database. And your database exists in your personal social media profiles, your business social media profiles, your email, and your telephone primarily. Okay, so you want to find a way to connect with your audience across one or multiple platforms, and then you want to simply keep in touch with them. I have done a podcast called Never Forget Your Customers and They'll Never Forget You. And this is what this is really about, okay? And I've told the story many times of the car detailer who comes out, does an amazing job on your car, you never hear from them again. So when you want to use them again, you can't remember their name, you can't find their phone number, you have to go and find someone else. The same thing happened to me with a floor installation person. Amazing, but I don't know how to get in touch with him anymore, okay? So it is really important as step 4 that when we find audience that we bring them into our database, and that is the digital ecosystem, but also email database, into your phone, all these kind of things, okay? So in the book, I talk about product ladder. And one of the ways you can get people to come into your email database is through welcome lines, okay? Also known as nurture assets. But read the book and the attraction chapter for more on that. So number 5 in your 5-point plan is play the long game. So with pipeline and the customer journey, which I'm so passionate about the customer journey, right? Your prospective clients, your PCs, are going to buy when they're ready. If your ecosystem is good and your welcome lines are good, you'll also be creating advocacy in your market, as I talk about in my book, where a PC may not buy from you, but they may tell people how much they like you and somebody else might buy from you. This is the beauty of this pipeline effect, okay? But you're going to play the long game in your practice, because I can be meeting someone, interacting with them, working with them at one point, and still 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years later and 10 years later, I'm getting another phone call. They're referring someone to me. This is the effect of the first 4 steps that I talked about, and you really need to do all 4. They're actually very simple, but you probably need to write them down and ask yourself, okay, how am I getting these people onto my database? Could I leverage my personal social media? After accepting that as an entrepreneur, social media is a networking room. It's not like it is for someone who has a job. Okay, again, I'll do another podcast on that. So you want to play the long game, but we also want quick results, right? So for faster results, okay, I'm going to mention critical drivers, all right? So if you want to drive faster results, you're going to do some critical drivers. Now, in the transformation program, I'm really big on critical drivers. I do provide information, education, assets around them, and then I ask my tribe members to print them out and put them on a clipboard, okay? Now, I'll give you a few examples of critical drivers that can drive a result. So a simple one is just attending a regular networking event. I know they can be time suckers and you don't always like them. And also, okay, networking is great. In the transformation program, I have a module on networking, and it is one of the most detailed modules in the entire program, because what I worked out over 14 years is why I made networking work. And most bookkeepers, like 80% of bookkeepers, fail at networking. It was the nuances. It was the little thing. It was the little details. And I'm telling you, with some parts of the program, you can miss things and still get a result. With networking, I truly believe that you need to implement every tiny little bit of my process to make it work. But when you do, at one structured networking event like Business Networking International, that is my favorite, BNI. I know some people don't like it, but with my system, I honestly think that you might. So you can pull 6 figures out of a networking event, okay? So one thing you could be doing is attending a networking event, but a simpler critical driver, or some simpler critical drivers, is making phone calls and reaching out to people every day. So in another podcast I did, Lessons from the Tribe, Finding New Clients, I asked everyone to reframe finding new clients to finding new business. Yeah. So finding new business right now in terms of critical drivers and getting faster results from the pipeline. Number one, reaching out to a past client. So every day you do an activity. That is a critical driver. So reach out to a past client. Yeah, I've talked about that in other podcasts. Yeah, absolutely. I drive business in my business using that. Yeah, reach out to an inactive client, where you've done a catch up and for whatever reason they've disengaged. Okay, you've got diamonds at your feet, as I've talked about in other podcasts. Okay, phone an existing client to ask them about their business, to seek to understand more, to solve more problems. That's covered in the succession chapter. Okay, so there are a few critical drivers that you can do. Do your monthly phone call with your client to deepen retention, okay? Don't even get me started on price rises or fixed pricing, which could double your profits over 12 months, all right? So there's a few little critical drivers that you can do to drive a faster result. I have had bookkeepers that reach out to a past client during an event that I'm running when I say it, and they tell me by the end of the event, the client has told them, yes, please, thank you so much for reaching out. I need help. Will you help me? Okay. And I find past clients full of gratitude for us opening up capacity for them. So my friends, that is a wrap on pipeline. Let's just wrap it up with some action steps, okay? So this is all about how to create a pipeline of prospective clients. How is your website looking? Is it smart and strategic? If it's not, I do want to let you know that if you elect to join the tribe, just recently we had a tribe member join. Oh my goodness, she's amazing. And she was just about to give someone $7,000 to build a website. And she didn't feel great about it. The person, she was having a lot of trouble, as we did for a long time, finding the right website developer. Anyway, she was about to do that. She joined the tribe, and I had just shook hands with someone and made a deal that allowed me to give bookkeepers an incredible strategic smart website, in line with everything I teach and do, for $50 a month, including hosting. I mean, I pay $30 a month for hosting alone. So for an additional $20 a month, she got probably the best bookkeeping website I have ever seen. So if you do join the tribe, we can make all that available to you, and you can get access to that partner who can within 48 hours give you that website, okay? So the next thing is on your action plan. So have a look at your website. Build your brand. Either join the program, we'll do it for you, or use the book, go step by step. Reserve an hour a day in your diary to do the work, okay? 2 hours even better, but an hour a day to build your brand. Look at the attraction strategies in the attraction chapters of my book, okay? And go about implementing them to bring audience. The next thing on your list, make sure that you are working out how you're getting this audience on your database, because you'll see in the book how I say that on your personal social media profiles, it is normal, natural, and needed and helpful to occasionally do authentic posts about how you can help people in business, okay? So make sure you've worked out ways to get them onto your database. The next thing on your to-do list, because you're going to play the long game, that's not on the action plan list here, but the next thing on the action plan is I want you to think about a past client or an active client, and I want you to text them straight away now. Like, pause the podcast, text them, hi name, haven't heard from you in a while, just wanted to reach out and ask how everything is going. Like, are you up to date? Are you sorted? Whatever's relevant to that past or an active client, okay? So there's your action plans, my friends, or your action plan, I should say. I will see you in the next episode.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have a question you'd like answered on my podcast, please email me, hello@thestrategicbookkeeper.global. Did you know we have a private Facebook group called the Strategic Bookkeeper's Way? There you'll find bookkeepers just like you on the same journey where you can ask questions and get support. You can find more resources and how to work with me at thestrategicbookkeeper.global. All the links are in the show notes. Have a prosperous week, and I'll see you in the next episode.